to go and pick this movie.
I know. Amazing movie. Excellent movie.
But this movie.
God damn.
Okay. And
welcome to Celluloid Chronicles,
a historical movie podcast.
I'm Brick.
I'm Birdy.
I did it right on the first try.
Excellent. Give me a minute.
Way to go, Brick.
So we know it's been a minute. we had all the best intentions throughout the holidays, and we should have probably just pulled a season end or something.
Right.
But, you know, as you noted, I think in some of our Instagram posts, which we hope you will follow, our dear Brick has been doing amazing marketing work.
I've been having fun.
Yeah. So check that out on Instagram, Celluloid Chronicles. But we're having tough time keeping, just because of the type of lives we have, tough time keeping up with an exact schedule, and we are wanting to choose quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going to go to a semi-off schedule basis. We're going to put, you know, if we might actually have multiple episodes per time we post.
Yeah.
Which is possible, like this time. But we're going to focus on individual projects instead of just a constant stream. And I think you'll get better information and less stressed recordings from us. Probably. Yeah.
And it didn't help that the last few weeks we have taken turns being sick. Our children have taken turns being sick.
Yes.
Family drama.
Yes.
Friends going through some bullshit.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
And we have day jobs. So.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
When you mention Instagram, I would like to, if I can, give a quick shout out for a new podcast that I found. So they liked one of our posts or started following us. And I checked them out, and I think you would really like it. It's called Two Filthy Horrors, and it's sisters, and each episode they do a different topic that's horror centric, and they each cover something related to that. And so it's like a research, based kind of thing, but they
folklore and myth and stuff.
Yeah. But it's almost like listening to My Favorite Murder.
Awesome.
Because they just joke around, and it's fucking hilarious.
I mean, that's the vibe we go for too, as we can.
Yeah.
You know, I did love the way on My Favorite Murder, and I was like, that we can use this tip as well. Someone wrote into them, Karen in Georgia, to say that, you know, I know everyone struggles with how to explain what kind of podcast this is. And they said to equate it like MASH. It's a dark comedy about the war.
Yeah.
So My Favorite Murder or True Crime is dark comedy about
true crime. Okay. And this is going to be a dark comedy about true crime episode.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that's most of our housekeeping. Please stick with us. We promise letting us marinate on our projects here will only benefit you. So thank you. But yes, Brick, what movie did I pick?
You chose Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I couldn't resist, but it took me a while to still pick this one off my list.
It is. So. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Yeah, I ordered the book.
Oh wow, cool.
And I ordered. I forget the name of the author, but I will include it in our links, our sources. I ordered another book that is written by a gentleman who's an Osage Nation member called A Pipe for February.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's a point of view from his family, so it's an inside point of view from Osage members.
Oh, okay, cool. Was this a recent incident? Because I'm thinking Standing Rock, and if you're talking about a pipeline or something, that's what.
No, it's something that they called this. It's the Osage Murders, but it was a name that they assigned. So it's about the Reign of Terror, but it's from Osage perspective.
Excellent, good. Yeah, we'll definitely put that in our show notes. We will be listing, we'll start with that as well. If anyone has watched this movie, then you know this is a 3.5 hour epic and a very large topic. So we're already planning to do at least at least 2 episodes on this, if not 3. So we won't name how many, but at least 2 for sure. And so we'll be wrapping up 1 episode and doing like an official 2nd episode instead of just cutting it somewhere. We're just going to plan this to be a certain amount. So that way we can fully give justice to this story. So, so trigger warning as we head into this. This is obviously about murder. Mass murder, genocide, racism, conspiracy killings, child death, bombings, mention of war, mention of suicide, go on and on. Just pretty much just everything. Trigger warning for everything. This would definitely be an episode to skip if, especially if you are Indigenous, unless, you know, you want to hear us white ladies talk about it. But
I'm sure we can find somebody to do it better.
But we do want to respect this movie and spread the word on this story because, you know, I knew going in picking this film that it's definitely something I'm always an advocate for Indigenous people. I come from an Irish background, so I have family from Ireland who basically suffered a lot of the same racism and genocide in a lot of ways. Just got to move past that, I guess, simply because of the color of our skin. And I think a lot of Irish forget that as well. So. You
would have grown up hearing those stories, though.
Yeah. So definitely from my grandfather's side, you know, but also as I went through this, it brought back a lot for me because I used to live in Oklahoma, for better or worse, usually for the worse, but this was aughts, so it's a different time, a different nation. Although Oklahoma is happy right now, the white people in Oklahoma, I should say. But yeah, I lived on the land of the Osage Nation, not in any legally protected area, but the overlap area in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I went to college there. I really hold this story near and dear to my heart as someone who fully recognizes Indigenous sovereignty and feels like I would do what I could to give back that sovereignty in whatever way I could. A lot of people would probably ask, well, would you give up your house? And it's like, depending on the circumstances, maybe, but I would sure redirect my taxes and my land rights to the Native Nation instead of some state-defined county I live in and pay taxes to them. So how about that? But I currently live on the land of the Anishinaabe and Ojibwe, where we currently are now, and so I feel like we wanted to share that as well. But yeah, this story, when this movie started coming out, this was definitely a new story even to me. Okay. And that's someone who lived in Oklahoma and learned about Indigenous history there and attended 3 different schools in that state and quite close to where this happened, just south of Osage County. Never heard this story.
That is crazy.
Never. Living there, I never heard this story. So,
well, that's what we do. We hide it, and it's getting worse.
Yeah, so I'm happy to share this story. Maybe if anyone doesn't know about this movie, I want them to hear about it. So I even asked my stepfather. He's like, yeah, I'd heard about it, but they don't talk about it. So, and he still lives in Oklahoma.
Well, and he'd be from what you have told me, he would be the type to we don't talk about that.
Yeah, but thankfully he has enjoyed history and anthropology, so he himself knew it, but that's probably just because that's an interest of his.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
That was actually still before his time too. Not to make him that old, but
no.
But I did want to highlight some things before we fully get in, and then I'll let you take us off on this movie. So this is from Oklahoma State University. I just wanted to quote this. Oklahoma State University and the Osage Nation have a strong partnership, evident through educational support like scholarships, joint research in aviation, aerospace, like the Skyway Range, cultural engagement, the JOM programs, and resource sharing. The OSU providing extension services in Osage County and the nation, offering scholarships for Osage students at OSU and other institutions, fostering community development and academic success. However, I read that quote, and I see a lot of Native individuals in my classes? Some, not as many as I would hope if that was truly the case. So I wish I could say that was true, but I don't know. But Stillwater, Oklahoma crosses the Pawnee Nation, and it's one of the original borders of the Arkansas River. So
the one time I spoke with somebody of Native descent that had experience with trying to get their college, their promised college education, she said it was a really difficult process. And it's like anything else at the government, like we're gonna help you with this, but we're gonna make it as difficult as we possibly can to discourage you from actually accessing these resources. Yeah. But I didn't even think about that until just now when you were reading that. That was probably about 15 or more years ago. That's when I was at the hotel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can't imagine that it's gotten any better. Yeah, unfortunately. I'm just glad a lot of these things are hitting the mainstream a lot more. So, but yeah, I just wanted to share that a little bit about myself and some of my tangential interest in this story. So also, I wanted to bring up how hard it was for my brain, my very white, modern, privileged brain, to realize this was the 1920s. I know. Instead of the 1820s. My brain just auto went to the 1800s. No. Well, even knowing, going in and knowing, all right, early 1900s. I'm like, is that a fucking car? Uh-huh. Yeah, it's... Jesus Christ. Yeah, so the grandchildren of these people are still alive and remember these grandparents. This is insane. Well, to put this in perspective, no, this was literally when my great-grandparents were the ages of the people in this story, and the same decade as some of my grandparents were born. My grandparents, who I knew. Yeah. They were born in that decade. It's not that long ago, really. So, a couple other things, and I know Brick's going to cover a lot of this in about the movie section, but Lily Gladstone was concerned kind of going into this movie. She wanted Native people to see this with other Native people, but was concerned about how it would be perceived or that it would be traumatizing for Native people to watch. So that was ooh, okay. Well, and some of the reviews that I read by Osage Nation members talked about that, about how difficult it was to sit through these screenings. I heard a lot of that, and I can't even fathom that. Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's probably why I don't actually watch a lot of old Irish-based films that are based in the 1800s. It's my family would have been there. Right, and you're gonna picture your grandparents. Yeah, my great-grandparents are great, anyway. But what I was sad was I also wanted to just look up how many movies actually featured directly about Native people, not just Native people in the background, old Westerns, or not including old Westerns or pseudo old Westerns, just literally about a Native American people. I couldn't even come up with that percentage. The only percentage I could come up is that even today, it's Native Americans are represented in movies and films, movies and TV shows, I would assume, less than 0.25%. Less than half of 1% had films with speaking roles devoted to those of Native American descent. And that's one thing I've never been able to wrap my mind around with studios. They talk about there's not an audience. There's not an audience for this, type this of movie thing proved for Native American stories. There's not an audience for African American stories. There's not an audience for female driven stories. Right, and yet we prove them wrong every time. Fucking time. Just do it. Right. Yeah, assholes. That and the whitewashing. Oh yeah. For sure. I'm still mad about Stonewall, and I haven't even seen. I was just thinking of that. Seen Marsha P. Johnson forever. Yes, I was just just fucking thinking of that. So we're already angry. Okay, great. It's good. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. We're going to do this the whole damn show. Real quick, I just want to share real quick. So Birdy shared in our friend group Discord server the day after she watched the movie, and I just thought this was so fucking hilarious and on point for her. And she posted that she was walking around and just kind of like slamming stuff around and muttering, and he was all pissed off.
Yep.
And her husband's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And she goes, "He got paroled
after 11 years."
Like, she was so fucking pissed.
And just
that she's just taking it out on her household goods.
It's just so infuriating. So infuriating. I have so much about that too. So, but yeah. And most of those roles that are devoted to Native American weren't necessarily played by Native American actors.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Even less. So even less.
A lot.
Yeah. Anyway. So I went back and forth on Scorsese doing this film. You know, as an Italian person who dealt with a lot of persecution by waspy white folk, I get that part. But some of the stuff he said were so, like, some stuff he said, I'm like, yeah, awesome, right. Great. And then other stuff, I'm like, what? You know, so one of the things that kind of hit me was when he was confused why some Native people were having an issue with the film.
Really?
Yeah. Which I have so much to say on. So much. He said it was a travesty that Native people were having issues with the movie. But then he goes on to talk about, like, when Stephen Colbert interviewed Scorsese, he talked about working with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, I guess his little Greek.
Yeah, him and De Niro do a lot with him, I guess.
But The Irishman came first, which no one. I looked at, I was like, oh, that looks an Irishman, just talking about Irish people, and I read it, and I read the synopsis. I'm like, oh no, this looks boring as hell. Never mind. And I think a lot of people agreed, actually. Look, at least you had this one. But he said, interesting, I've seen this before. And he went to the Osage. He gave a dinner where he invited over 250 people of Osage descent and had a very traditional dinner with them, and talking about the ancestors and talking with Margie Burkhart, the granddaughter of Ernest Burkhart, and
Molly.
Talking with Ernest, the granddaughter of Ernest Burkhart, and Molly. I definitely want to name her. They always keep just saying Ernest's name throughout a lot of stuff, and it's like, no.
Well, I found myself too. Yeah. I found myself doing that in the notes. I was putting his name first. So
I don't want to. No.
Right. Then I was consciously like, fuck that motherfucker. Molly goes first. Molly Kyle.
Yeah. So, she was talking very openly with Scorsese about how it's not a love story, and they may have been in love, but he's killing people he loves, supposedly. But he talked about Leonardo DiCaprio picking Ernest instead of playing Tom White, that main federal agent, which was pretty cool. Changed the focus of the story from the FBI to the actual story and the people involved, which is really good. So, like, I don't know how to feel about this old man, this old man, but I did like that they did shift the focus. And I know a lot of people talked about, well, why wasn't Molly and the actual Native people the main people? Why is it Leonardo's character on the main post? Well, I have a theory on that. I have a theory because of just what we talked about a bit ago about racism in the industry, the production industry, where you have to have a hook that the producers and Leonardo DiCaprio gave that by making it a little bit about Ernest instead of just Molly. They were able to market Leo.
I hate saying...
And the white guy, old men.
I hate saying that. I hope that's what it is.
I hope that's what it is. That's my theory, but it's hard. It could not be. But yeah.
It's absolutely possible. And honestly, even with DiCaprio and De Niro and Scorsese, the studios did not want to give them the money, so they had to go and get money from I think Apple TV.
Yeah, some other side company.
Yeah, they went to Netflix and somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure it was Apple TV that put the money up.
Yeah, so that says something on its own. So I did want to throw that out there. But one thing I'm going to try to do in our episodes here is give voice to some contemporary Indigenous voices. So I have some quotes throughout all my stuff that to give them voice. So what's the travesty that the Native people having issues with this movie? Well, I have a great quote from one Osage Native woman who said something like, "It's disturbing that while Molly is being poisoned, that as an example of all that she stands as, I think she's trying to say that she stands as an example of all Native women and about extractive industries like those trying to take oil. And it's also about Native women who have no agency, are without power, and without their sovereignty. See, Natives don't care about reading books by white people." And she hated this whole white interpretation of the story, which I get. It's a little confusing there, but I think I get what she's saying.
I have a similar quote for my fun facts that I think, and I will save it for fun facts, but I think it's one of those things that this woman absolutely had such a point. And she was absolutely spot on and had every reason to hate the movie as much as she did.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna blame anybody who has a problem with this movie.
No, absolutely not. And what's interesting, well, I get it immediately, but what people might find interesting is, like, as I do these quotes, what's interesting to me and what I like about this quote is that most of the Indigenous folks that had a problem with the movie were femme Indigenous women or people.
And that ties into the quote that I'll have for fun facts.
But it's a lot of mask Indigenous men and people that seemed, I really appreciated this movie coming out. And I really, men were just as murderers as much as women, but when this movie itself is focusing a lot on the killing of Native women in our era of missing endangered Indigenous women, where that's becoming a huge problem and literally their birth rates are dropping again. I can see why perhaps one gender may have a problem over another. Right. So that's a lot of my very long-winded intro. So Brick, tell us about this movie and take us in.
2 quick notes. Killers of the Flower Moon is a 2023 biopic directed by Martin Scorsese, who co-wrote the screenplay with Eli Roth. It is based off the book of the same name by David Gran, based off his research of actual events. And I just want to say real quick that we learned that most of the Osage people do have traditional names, Osage names, but we're mostly going to hear the names that they use within the white community.
Yes.
And I did try to look up what Molly Kyle's Osage name was, but she and the family decided to keep that private, and that is their own business.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay.
So the movie opens with several Osage elders, and they are holding a ceremony. They are mourning the loss of their heritage because they're being forced into assimilating into white customs, and they know that it's going to be harder for their children to learn and continue their customs. And they're doing this by burying a pipe.
Yeah. It's a ceremonial pipe that they prepared.
Yeah. And not gonna lie, I did kind of choke up.
It was right off the bat.
Yeah.
As our other podcast friends said, they raw dogged us
absolutely.
Right from the front. Yes.
And this is one of the times that they did use subtitles when they were speaking in Osage, which I appreciated that they used it for this.
Yeah.
Because it immediately sets you up for this is what is going on. This is the reality that they're going to be in. So they bury the pipe. And the next thing we see is some of the Osage men discovering oil and celebrating.
Yeah.
And we get the following information. It's kind of via title cards, videos, and photos. But very quickly, the Osage Nation became the richest group of people per capita.
In the world.
In the world.
In the world.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I'm pretty sure in the world. If not America.
Yeah. And obviously, Birdy's going to have a lot more information about this, so I'm just going to kind of, a little bit. But I had to look up. They had more Pierce arrows, which was a type of car, than any other county in the USA, with chauffeurs to drive them, which in the 1920s, I mean, that's fucking, you're doing good.
Yeah. And it's incredible. They
do what anybody would have done, what I would absolutely fucking do if I suddenly came into money. They enjoy themselves.
Especially, and even more than that, they've been suffering for hundreds of years.
Yes.
They've never had, it's like some poor person, someone in poverty winning the lottery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're buying clothes and jewelry. They don't have to work, which was a huge stink
for the white people around them.
And, they're doing things like playing golf and rodeos. We see a gentleman flying a plane. And just all the sorts of things that we're all going to start doing what we've always wanted to do.
The kids going to private school.
Oh, no. And we meet Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest. He arrives by train. And when he steps off, he sees all these representatives for the oil company, and they're there to pick up new employees. There's several different companies. So, you see right off, like, this is a very industrious industry.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an industrious industry.
It's a very industrious industry, yes.
Ernest is picked up by an Osage man named Henry Roan, who drives him to his uncle's ranch, but the ranch is on Henry's land.
Yeah.
Which I somehow missed the first time.
It's because Uncle... What the fuck is his name? Hale. It's because dear Uncle Hale just keep pretending like he owns it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. So, yeah, on the second watch and like knowing everything that happens, oh god damn. But yes, so it takes him to his uncle's ranch, and the uncle is William Hale, and his nickname is King, but I am not going to call this motherfucker King.
No, but I did love the scene where the narcissism right off the bat when you guys used to call me King. You can call me King.
Yeah.
Like, and I gotta say, like, I did like Leo's, he always was... He played stupid real good.
Yes, he does.
But he just looks really confused looking up at his uncle. Like, okay, King. Sure. Like, God.
And De Niro plays narcissism to a fucking T.
Yes.
Like,
slick, silver-tongued snake.
So charming and...
believable for moments, but then he says something else, like so two-faced.
And you'll know who I'm talking about. My family member who, constantly points out like all these wonderful, great things that I've done, and like, okay, maybe do something nice and don't fucking tell everybody that you did it.
Yeah.
He's that kind of narcissist.
Yeah.
So he's welcomed by Hal, his aunt and his cousin, and his brother Byron. And
his own brother. I just want to make sure.
Yes, Ernest's brother.
His brother was already there, actually. So.
Yeah.
Although there is some timeline quabbles, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, it gets kind of wonky, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey kind of shit going on. But so Hal starts asking him about his time in the army, and it like immediately gets awkward. And he's asking him, have you had VD? Did you use condoms?
Really checking them out there.
Right. Are you heterosexual? Like, you're interested in women, right? And he specifically asks if he's attracted to Native American women. And it was kind of
cute.
It was kind of cute because he's basically, I'm attracted to all women, but then he says, I'm attracted to big girls.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Cutie women. brown woman, like all these adjectives, and I was like, oh, it's kind of funny actually. Right. I kind of like it.
Whatever. So he kind of feels him out, and he advises Ernest, stay out of trouble, don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
And he gives him a book and wants him to read up about it. It is about the Osage Nation. And he remarks on how much he admires the Osage community.
Oh, yeah. They're wonderful people. The sweetest people. But then he makes sure to point out sickly people.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, how much he admires them, and, they're wonderful. And we do find out later that he learns Osage.
Yeah, he can speak Osage, which is even 10 times more insidious, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes. But as he's talking about how much he admires the Osage people, we cut to a scene, and we show a man who is convulsing on the floor, foaming at the mouth, and a bottle on the floor next to him. And in voiceover, we hear Molly Kyle, played by Lily Gladstone, who tells us that he was John Whitehair, 23, no investigation of his death. And we see several more deaths. Bill Stepson, 29, no investigation. Anna Sanford, 41, no investigation. Rose Lewis, 25, drowned, no investigation. And the one that...
Oh, gosh.
This I was not expecting, and it absolutely horrified me. Sarah Butler, 21, suicide. But what actually happens, we see she puts her child in its pram and turns around, and who I assume is the husband, because he's in the house, leans out a window and shoots her in the chest, comes outside, puts the gun in her hand, picks up the baby, and goes into the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things like that, I can understand why anyone, but especially Indigenous women, have a problem with the way that Indigenous female deaths are presented.
Yes, for sure. Film. Definitely. And although I do like that the movie doesn't put any flowery music or anything over the scenes either. I didn't
even think about that.
It's completely silent. Yeah.
I did not think about that, but you're right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and set up the next part. So we get all this information just to talk about the tribe itself a bit. I'm sure most people know this. I hope people and kids are still taught this in school, but the Osage tribe, basically all Indigenous Americans, were forcibly relocated by the U.S. government from their homelands, the Osage in particular from Kansas, to a reservation in Oklahoma in the 1870s. However, it was in 1897 that oil was discovered on the Osage Indian Reservation, as it was known, present-day Osage County, Oklahoma. The U.S. Department of the Interior managed the leases for oil exploration and production on land owned by the Osage Nation through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and then later managed the royalties from that oil. That's what we saw. Them getting all the oil and finding it and everything else, because by sheer luck, given how horrible the treaties were between the U.S. government and Native Americans, they managed to get the mineral rights. They got a lot of times when you buy land, you just have the top of the land. You don't get the mineral rights. Usually that's owned by somebody else. But they managed to get the mineral rights. So they got everything on the land and below.
I don't know who in the Osage Nation thought of that and pushed for that and campaigned for that.
Or it was sheer luck of the words, right? Like put on the treaty, right? So, yeah. So that's how they ended up even being able to access the oil, because there would have been a good chance they found that oil and the American government could have come in and taken it, like they definitely would have. And they'll still tried. Just through far more nefarious means. So, as we saw, all of the Osage of that tribe were able to get head rights, which is a whole thing that gets mentioned a lot in the movie and why the murders are happening. They were paid annual royalties, and then as part of the process of Oklahoma preparing for statehood, the federal government allotted 657 acres to each Osage on the tribal rolls in 1907. So that's where thereafter they and their legal heirs, whether Osage or not, had head rights to royalties and oil production based on their allotments of lands. The head rights could be inherited by legal heirs, including non-Osage. The tribe held the mineral rights communally. This is what I love. I wanted to point this part out too. The reason all Osage benefited is because, unlike so many things done in this world, they, as a people, held the rights communally. And then it was paid to the members of the tribe from the leases by a percentage related to their holdings. What a concept.
Right.
Oh no, socialism. Like, could you imagine? This is when they talk about distribution of wealth. Mm-hmm. This could be all of us if we didn't have motherfucking old men, white overlords. Yeah. So just want to throw that out there. So then, of course, because they have to, do a shit. In 1906 and the subsequent years, the U.S. Congress passed a series of laws ostensibly intended to help the Osage retain their wealth. They created a system of guardianship for minors and incompetents, as determined by and under the jurisdiction of Oklahoma's local county probate courts. The Oklahoma courts routinely found Native Americans to be incompetent without considering mental capacity. For example, one woman had a guardian appointed on the basis that her savings suggested a lack of spending, which was used as evidence that she did not understand the value of money.
What?
Because she didn't spend enough.
Oh my God.
So it didn't matter that they were going out on private jets and buying jewelry and cars. Even the ones that didn't spend the money were labeled incompetent.
That is fucking crazy.
Because it wasn't about the incompetence.
Right.
So, during this period, numerous white men married Osage women to become guardians of their estate. And it was preferred instead of, like we see with Molly having to go to this office and beg for her own wealth. So under the system, even minors who had less than half Osage blood were required guardians, regardless of their living parents.
Wow.
Their own parents could not be their financial guardians. And even with less than half indigenous blood. It's the eighth law all over again, like it was for black
the
folks.
3/4.
The 3/4, whatever. The courts appointed guardians from local white lawyers or businessmen. Of course, they would be the best, right? The incentives for criminality were obviously overwhelming. Such guardians often maneuvered legally to steal Osage land, their head rights, or their royalties. Others were, as we see in this movie, suspected of murdering their charges to gain the head rights. The history behind the head rights system began in the late 1800s when the Osage were driven off their reservation, but when they settled down, and especially as the wealth poured in, it was kind of fast forwarded. But originally in 1887, the Dawes Act was enacted, which originally broke up the Indian land into parcels and allotments. That's how they got stuck into the system of head rights. And then the Congress came back in and said, oh, by the way, we're going to control how you use it too. So obviously with that money coming in, by 1920, the market for oil had grown so dramatically and brought so much wealth to the Osage. So in 1923 alone, which is kind of during the time we're coming in here for, the tribe took in more than $30 million, which is equivalent today $363 million.
Damn.
in 2024, in 1 year. The system was put in place, and at that time, there was 2,229 registered Osage members on the tribal rolls as of 1907. So each was given an equal share of the money. Private companies could then lease that land from the tribe in order to extract the minerals and gas and everything else, and then pay a percentage of what they made into the trust managed by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And then it would be allotted out. People across the U.S. read about these Osage called the richest nation, clan, or social group of any race on earth, including the whites, man for man, is a quote.
That doesn't sound bitter at all.
Yeah. Some Osage use their royalties to send their children to private schools, like we see in the videos, the prologue videos. Others bought luxury cars, clothes, jewelry, traveled to Europe, and newspapers across the country loved to follow them along. And because of tens of thousands of oil workers, the oil boom attracted many white opportunists to Osage County. As a note, at that time, there was 8 lawyers working in Pawhuska in the Osage County seat, which had 8,000 residents. So the number of lawyers was said to be the same in Oklahoma City, which had 140,000 residents. So to put that in perspective, there's the same number of lawyers working in one small town of 8,000 residents as there is in the largest city in Oklahoma City. In 1924, the Department of the Interior actually did charge 24 guardians of the Osage with corruption in the administration of their duties related to their charges. However, all avoided punishment by legal settlement out of court.
Of course.
I will note this was 2 years before the trials of the Osage murders. These guardians were believed to have swindled their charges out of millions of dollars. In 1929, $27 million was reported as still being held by the Guardian system, the organization set up to protect the financial interests of 883 Osage families in Osage County. That's where we're set up here.
And they would have used that stolen money to settle for stealing money.
Absolutely.
That's fucked up.
Right? That's how it works for rich folk. But there we are. That's us.
All right. So we now officially meet Molly Kyle. She is at her guardian's office. She gives her name, her allotment number, and states that she is incompetent. And she's meeting with her guardian to request additional funds besides her monthly allowance. And this is in order to pay a medical bill. And she has to explain what she wants to spend her own money on to this man, who then questions her regarding how much her mother spent of her own money, and has her agree to, talk to her about her spending. She didn't really need to spend that much money on food, on meat, did
I think
she?
it was meat specifically. Yeah. It was like $300 on meat, which it would have been a lot, but maybe she was buying it for the community.
Maybe she was having
a party. Like, let her have it. Yeah. You don't know. You asshole.
Right. Outside of the guardian's office, Ernest is waiting for Molly, and he's ready to drive her home. He also sees his friend, Kelsey Morrison, who he served with in the war, and his wife, Catherine, who he lovingly describes as full-blooded.
Oh, yeah. Look at here, fully blooded.
Yeah. And Kelsey's going to come back later. And we get a kind of a quick flashback of Hal is telling Ernest about Molly, that she's, a full-blood estate who has a sickly mother. He asks Ernest if he's the marrying kind.
You're right.
And, they set it up. What the idea is, the plan is pretty quickly. He wants Ernest to pursue a relationship with Molly.
And he has the dumbest asshole face ever. Like you can see it's so perfectly done. I gotta say the acting was really good. Hale is sitting there like, you the marrying kind. Have you ever thought about one of those perfect manipulators that just makes it your idea? And you can watch Ernest Leo's face just,
I'm trying to,
like his eyes are furrowing, like he's a little confused, but he's like, well, I guess that sounds good. I
could
am.
get married.
I could get married.
Them wheels are just
you could
turning so slowly.
Oh, like it is almost painful to watch. I'm like, I do love
Right.
it. I do love, even though they complain, he's a little too much focused on him, and they do make him seem like a little too loving. But I do love that they made this asshole look like a dumb pile of bricks.
Yeah. And we learn that in his downtime, Ernest is earning money with his brother Byron and their friend Blackie Thompson. And they're earning money by holding up Osage people, robbing them of their money and jewelry. And we see them robbing one couple, and they have the fucking nerve to tell him, like, well, you didn't earn this anyways.
Right, like...
Right. And that's something that comes up a few times.
And it's like... the pot calling the kettle black. Like, it's a whole situation. Like, maybe those specific, I'm not even going to get, like, even if they were white people that found, like, no one would tell a white person that found oil on their land and are living on those dividends. People I've known, by the way, would tell a white person that they didn't earn it.
Right. Yeah.
They'd call them, oh, you're so savvy and you're so good with stuff. And
so they steal all their jewelry and their money, and Ernest immediately blows it all. He loses it all gambling right away.
Yeah. But Hale, I have a couple of things to say, and then like the veiled racism from Hale, just all these scenes where he's like, oh, and they're just wonderful people and they're just good people, but then you just hear words like sickly and they don't live too long and they they just need a little help and they can be really melancholic and they can like all these like sounding concerned but really patronizing them or making them seem weak, so a couple things So William Hale, speaking of, he was considered in the time, this is a real person, he was considered a protector and ally who had been with them since the beginning of the oil boom. How convenient. He was their biggest benefactor. He was called Friend of the Osage and considered himself a reverend. Like he literally gave himself the title of reverend. Not because he was ordained, but because of his benevolence.
I wondered because at one point Henry Roan says Reverend Hal, and
he's not ordained.
He gave himself
the title of Reverend.
Goddamn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Ernest, I'm not even going into the background of William Hale. Nobody needs to know when that asshole was born. But in respect to like setting up the timeline, I will give more on Ernest, the dumb dick. Ernest George Burkhart was born on September 11th, 1892, to a poor cotton farmer in Greenville, Texas. He was the nephew of William King Hale. In 1912, at age 19, so, when he's coming in there...
He's supposed to be 19?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's a rough 19.
That's a rough 19. I mean, he did go to war, so...
Yeah.
He moved into his uncle's ranch at Fairfax, Osage County. And he did come in search of fortune after the discovery of the oil region. So he did come there because there was oil there.
Yeah.
Not just because he went to live with his family.
He does say later that he loves money. He loves money.
He does. They do make that clear.
Yeah, he admits fully, this is not props to him in any way. He admits fully that he loves money and he would rather not work for it.
I do love that line later in the movie where he says, I love money so much, almost as much as I love my wife.
Oh, yeah.
But a little more, maybe?
Yeah. I can't say 100% that this is how they meant it, but the way that I took it was that Leo was playing as he did have feelings for her. Well, that's
why they're playing him dumb. They're saying he's so dumb that he loves like a golden retriever. He does love her, but he is manipulated and controlled by his uncle.
See, absolutely manipulated and controlled, definitely. I read it as he did love her. He did have love for her, but it was almost like he was telling himself
I don't want to say it's not narcissism because that's William Hale, but yeah, I guess not even trying to diagnose him, but he has that thing where he thinks he loves somebody, like you're saying. Yeah. He thinks he loves her.
Yeah.
Because she has pleased him some. It's like Henry VIII. Like,
right.
Go back there.
It's like, looking at this person, I should love you, so I do love you.
Yeah, but then you're doing this shit. It's I'm sure there's some psychological something about that, but it's definitely that. Or at least that's the way it's played in the movie. In reality, I think he was a hollow bastard from the start.
Oh, yeah. I think he was every bit as bad as Hal.
Yeah, I think so. Fully. Especially based on stuff he does after the murders. Like, they make him nice in this movie. Obviously, they had to because they had to sell it with Leo and everything else. Yeah. But
they definitely kind of softened him up.
Yeah, they softened him up.
He was a real fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. As for Molly Kyle, our heroine, she was born on December 1st, 1886 in the Osage Nation. On Osage land to James Q. Kyle and Lizzie Q. Kyle. So James C-U-E Kyle and Lizzie letter Q Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I have. Yeah. She grew up in Grey Horse and was forced to attend Catholic school in Pawhuska. She did become Catholic, as we see in the movie, but she was forced to become Catholic. And she did speak English and Osage. By the 1900s, Molly was wealthy from her Osage headright, but she was, of course, deemed incompetent. It hurt me every time she had to say incompetent when she went in that office. Anyway, due to federal laws regulating blah, 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 we went over that. She, according to records, she did marry Henry Rowan, which we see later in the mentioned later in the movie when she was 15 in a traditional arranged Osage marriage. But then they were both sent to boarding school and shortly afterward and eventually married other people. Like, I'm sure they almost probably forgot. They're like, ah, no. Yeah, that was just a thing. Yeah, so that's my little background there. Molly's family is really interesting. I have more on them later. I did find out after I took a weird went down a weird rabbit hole that her father was married before he was married to Lizzie, their mother. So there was a couple other kids too, apparently. Okay. So half siblings.
One night when dropping her off at home, Molly invites Ernest in for dinner. And when he meets her mother, Lizzie, she makes the absolute right call by getting up and walking away the moment he tries to introduce himself. After dinner, they're talking and they're discussing why Ernest came to live there. They're talking about his Uncle Hal. And he asks Molly why she's single when she has, quote, a nice skin color.
This bothered me.
And a nice house.
This bothered me so much.
Yeah.
But I did love Molly's face.
Yes. She's like,
oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah. And she responds, Coyote wants money. And this is, where we just covered, he does admit that he would rather have money than work for it. And they end up just kind of sitting and listening to a storm after she finally gets him to just shut up.
I was going to say after she told him to shut up, which I actually really like that. Yeah. I love listening to storms. So.
And I found something, it's going to be in Fun Facts, that's going to talk about that. But this kind of goes back to when Hal was first telling him about the Osage people and telling him, you talk, white people, we talk when we're nervous. We try to fill the silence. And the Osage people, they listen.
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, so that kind of goes back to that. And at one point, she asks him if he believes in God. And when he says yes, she questions, well, why haven't you ever been to church? And he immediately starts attending church after this. And he ends up meeting Bill Smith, who is husband to Molly's sister Minnie, who is suffering from what they call a wasting sickness, which probably diabetes, probably also being slowly killed.
I think it was poison.
Yeah. After the service, the congregation is kind of hanging out and having fun, and Molly is talking with her sisters, Minnie, Anna, and Rita, and they're discussing Ernest. And Molly says, he's not smart, but he's handsome. He's neither.
No, sorry, Leo.
Even as Leonardo, no. Which I did find out today, I guess he had some like very slight small prosthetics.
That makes sense in the cheeks, maybe.
Yeah, to get that kind of like
bulldog look.
And they call him a blue-eyed coyote. Anna says, he just wants our money. Anna tells her he just wants your money, and Molly points out, they all want money. And he points out how lazy Bill Smith is, but Rita says he believes he must love Molly because if he only wanted Monkey? Rita says she believes he must love Molly because if he only wanted money, his uncle is already rich. Which I kind of get her thought process, but that just tells you that this lovely young lady isn't thinking like a sociopath.
No.
And we kind of see them, I guess, courting, going out doing whatever. And Ernest, he eventually tells Molly that he wants to marry her. And in the following scene, we kind of his mask kind of
slips a little.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And he asks him, "Can you stand her kind?"
Yeah, that tells you everything right there.
Even knowing that he was truly a piece of shit, that he just came right out and said that.
But he said it in a way that someone dumb would interpret that as just like, oh no, I'm not like those other people. Like thinking he's just asking to protect the Osage. No,
yeah, like he means it for real. Like he's looking out for Molly.
No,
not at all.
No.
Yeah, that threw me, but yeah, I had the same thought of like, oh, it's because he's talking to the dumb one.
Yep.
But Ernest, he insists that he is actually in love with her. And they get married in an Osage ceremony. Molly is in a traditional Osage wedding dress, which not a dress, but the Osage outfit. And
it looked very. Is that what let me tell you? Okay, you tell me. You tell me, Brick.
Well, so there will be sources for this. I'm not going to get super into it, but at one point when the US government was trying to build relations, they offered military regalia to the Osage people. They offered them these military uniforms.
Oh.
And what I find is just fantastic. The men were too tall and broad-shouldered to wear them. So they gave them to the women.
Wow. Because the gendered shit didn't matter.
Nope.
Yeah.
And it ended up, I don't remember if they discussed this in the article, but it does end up becoming a tradition for them to wear them to their marriage ceremonies, and they get passed down throughout the family. So her wedding uniform is based off of actual Osage wedding attire.
Wow.
And they started adding their own touches, and that's where you're seeing the jewelry and the feathers and the gilt and all the, the little, odds and ends that are added. That is all to represent the Osage Nation.
Wow.
But we'll make sure that's included in the resources because I am not doing the article justice.
No, that's fine. In 1917 was when they got married. And they did, and it kind of shows a little past there that they quickly have children, right? So they did have 3 children who we'll see born. So in 1918, Elizabeth was born. And then in 1920, James Cowboy, who we see called Cowboy in the movie, was born in 1920. And then Anna, who we'll meet, was born in 1922. So, yeah.
After their wedding ceremony, so at the reception, this is one of those I don't mean this in a flattering way, but amazing performative kindness example from Hal.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's one of those things that narcissists do so well, and De Niro played with such charm that if you didn't know what you were looking at, it would be so easy to buy into.
Yeah, you'd think I really think this was some really good guy that just immersed himself into our culture.
Yep.
But no, it's so insidious. It's just it's my favorite word, but it just fits so well. Insidious.
Yes. And we see this because he's giving a speech and he's talking about how he has known Molly and her sisters since they were children and how he was such great friends with their father, Nakaisewai, who told white men to just call him Jimmy, but he insisted on calling him by his real name because he respected him so much.
Yeah, I laugh only because it's so manipulative.
Mm-hmm. And we also see he checks in on Minnie, Molly's sister, who her wasting illness is just getting worse. And he asks if she needs anything and offers any help that she might need. And we see that she's crying, but she's trying to be strong. And he tells her, we need to be strong. And I noticed he apologizes, and he says he apologizes for all the troubles they have brought on them. And I think, I think he is referring to what the white settlers have done, but it's almost like a confession of guilt.
Right. Oh my God, the writing. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But he gets to quote unquote apologize without having to admit anything, because look at what us white people have done to you, even though I'm still doing it to you. Like, my God. Well,
and anybody that's familiar with, the kind of some of the shit that's going on in America right now, you see, like, we no longer have to apologize for being white. Motherfucker,
yes,
we never, well, first of all, we never did.
No.
Like, it was never a sort of thing that we had to walk up to somebody of color or minority and say, hi, my name's Brick. I'm sorry, I'm a white person.
I've done
sorry.
that. I've met people. I'm so sorry.
Whoa, God, what was it when we were going on our trip and we were going on our trip and my husband and I, we got lost and we ran into some military that were doing some kind of like a training drill or something. And I assumed that they were American military. Well, it turns out they're Canadian military. There was a base nearby and they were really great. They helped us out. Like, we're not familiar, but hey, we got our, super cool GPS. It's got better signal than your phone. And when we finished up, I said, thank you so much. You guys were great. And I am really fucking sorry for us right now. I'm so sorry about America. I hope it gets better. And he just, well, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a great, sad, terrible moment right now.
Yeah. But it just comes off as very performative.
Performative, but you wouldn't know it because he did it so well.
Yep. And unfortunately, we do see that Minnie has now passed away. At the funeral, Hal is telling Ernest that Minnie's head rights should have come to him and Molly instead of Bill. And he notes that their mother, Lizzie, is also very sick, and he feels her head rights should go to them also. And we do, at some point later, we do see that Molly and Ernest have now had 2 children. And this is before the youngest Anna is born. And we see this fucked up family lunch, I guess. I don't know. But they're being visited by these really racist relatives who refer to the children as half-breeds and half-assed savages.
Yeah, who were they? Were they the relatives of Bill, maybe? I couldn't quite figure that out.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Just racist relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Lizzie, the mother, her health is worsening, and she begins to envision an owl, telling Molly that she has seen it and it's a portent of death.
I love that.
She tells Molly they are all dying, but she's referring to their heritage because they are all marrying white men, and tells her that she wants to see Anna. And when Anna arrives, she's intoxicated, and this irritates Molly. And Anna starts to flirt with Byron, who just kind of brushes her off. And she tells him, "You'll do right," which right now we have no context for. But, I mean, you know, knowing now, like, it's pretty obvious. But he accuses her of sleeping around, and in retaliation, she slaps the shit out of him.
Yeah, I was a little confused at first, just the way they were kind of dancing around words and stuff. But thank you for that great explanation. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Molly pulls her away, trying to calm her down, but Bill is purposely antagonizing her by touching and flirting with the maid in front of her.
Oh,
who
yeah,
is obviously uncomfortable and does not want this. When she goes off, Molly pulls her away again, and Ernest drags Byron outside, and we get kind of a cutaway scene, and it's two white men walking with an Osage man that we're going to learn is named Charlie Whitehorn, and he is murdered by the white men and left in a ditch. And we cut back to Byron and Ernest, and they're discussing his death, and they speculate that it was his wife that had killed him. Then Byron kind of cryptically tells Ernest that it's time for him to take Anna home.
Yeah, this was...
Anna, she's with her mother, Lizzie, who tells her daughter that she is her best blessing and admits Anna is her favorite. So if you didn't know before, you know what's going to happen next. Because, you know, you don't say loving, kind words in a movie like that. That sort of thing in a movie, and then it's a happy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Ernest interrupts, telling her she needs to leave, and Anna kind of mocks him, which I don't know, just the way that she did it, I loved. Yeah. It was great. Molly asks Anna to stay, but both Ernest and Byron insist that she needs to leave, and Byron needs to be the one to take her.
Well, they're trying to excuse because she's drunk, which honestly, if you were any type of family, you would want her to stay more than she was drunk. Yeah. But they're using that as oh no, she needs to go home.
She doesn't need to be here. She needs to leave.
Yeah.
And Molly, she just asks Anna, go straight home. Please don't go out tonight. But Anna tells her that she worries too much and she wants to go out. I think it's roughly a week later, but the sheriff brings Molly to a wooded area. They have found the body of Anna, who has been murdered, and they need Molly to identify her. And we learn in a bit that the local doctors, the Schoen brothers, perform her autopsy where she was found in front of people, including Molly. And they did really unnecessary things to butcher her.
Yeah, like, wow. Like,
I don't even know how to describe.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so this happens. And this kind of introduces us more thoroughly to the Osage Indian murders, as they came to be called. This is all connected to these, as mentioned in the beginning. It starts kind of in the 1910s and kind of went through the 1930s. And this is when newspapers started describing the increasing number of unsolved murders and deaths among young adults on the Osage land. Called this the Reign of Terror. Most took place in our movie timeline between 1921 and 1926. And during that time, at least 60 wealthy, full-blood Osage persons were reported killed between 1918 and 1931. The newer as in today, historical, I should say, investigations indicate that other suspicious deaths during this time could have been misreported or covered up murders, including those of individuals who were heirs to future fortunes. Further research has shown that the death toll may have been in the hundreds. So as we saw, now this movie, of course, is focusing on a specific family mostly, but just to give some background on that. So in 1918, we see Minnie Smith, who was the sister of Molly Kyle, and she died of this mysterious wasting illness, now believed to have been poisoning. I didn't find a whole lot on Bill Smith, but based on what I could find on Find a Grave, he was married 3 times, each time to an indigenous woman.
Oh, okay.
His first wife was part Cherokee, and he had 2 children with her, but she actually left him after about 5 years. In a post made after he died later on, which we'll see in the movie, his attorney had to put out a newspaper notice to try to find the children. But but there's nothing to say they were ever found. So, like, this woman might have gone into hiding. Who knows? I wish there was more information on if people actually suspected Bill of killing Minnie. They never, like, stated outright, but they make it kind of obvious, especially since Bill quickly married Rita afterward. So now their sister Anna Brown, she actually had been recently divorced from her white spouse, and she had decided to live this flapper life, as they called it, with her. They kind of even give her that look a little bit, the dresses and the makeup, and and it was in May 1921 that she disappeared, and then on May 27th, a week later, her body was found in a ravine creek. She had been shot in the back of the head, execution style. All evidence found was some contraband liquor and some tire tracks. That's all that was found. And it had been some local hunters that had found her. She was 36 years old at the time. They never found the killer, and they actually ended up ruling her death as accidental because of alcohol poisoning, which they were definitely trying to set up, and they put the case aside. However, even though an autopsy did reveal that the cause of death was not alcohol, but a bullet into the back of her head.
But, that's just an accident.
Yep. And since she was divorced, probate court awarded her mother her head rights. And Kelsey Morrison, who we've mentioned already, later admitted to murdering her and testified that William Hale had asked him to do so. And I know I'm kind of spoiling things, but this is history, and to keep it any logical sense, I'm just kind of going through it. Along with his eventual admission, Morrison actually also indicated Byron Burkhart, which kind of, I like how then they set it up in the movie, like he got pissed at her or something. Morrison testified that after meeting Brown earlier at her sister Molly Kyle's home, he and Burkhart took a heavily intoxicated Brown to 3 Mile Creek, where Morrison shot and killed her. It's also believed that Morrison was responsible for the murders of William Stepson, who died of a suspected poisoning in 1922, and Tilly Powell Morrison, his wife, who died of a suspected poisoning in 1923. One of Morrison's associates later confessed both murders to him. Anna's estate was worth $100,000, $2 million in today's money.
Damn.
And half of her head rights were inherited by her mother, who died 60 days after this, which we'll see in the movie. Her other heirs were Molly, Rita, and Grace Bigheart, who I actually ended up, because of this deep dive, found out that that's their half-sister from their father. And as we saw in the movie, I think it was that same day or like within days was when they found Anna's cousin, Charles Whitehorn, also known as Charles Williamson, discovered near Pawhuska on the same day as her body was found. So those two scenes. They were family too.
Damn.
Yeah. And Whitehorn had also been shot to death. Yeah, so that catches you up on the whole situation with Anna Brown. A little bit of spoilers, but I kind of wanted to give a clearer picture than bits and bobs.
Yeah.
So.
And we see at a tribal council meeting, the council members are discussing the recent murders and how Molly and her family, they've raised funds to pay as a reward for anyone providing information leading to an arrest and conviction of Anna's killer, and I assume this extended outwards, but at least of Anna's killer. And we see a man named Paul Red Eagle. He says that when the money came, so did the white men who were looking to get it. They started marrying Osage women, and now these murders are occurring all to get to the money. And the Chief Bonacastle, he shares that the men who work for him claim to be his friends, but he doesn't trust it. They're lazy and they act like they own the business instead of him. So they're dealing with this daily.
Yeah.
Not just the threat of who's going to die next, but just with the flat out entitlement and racism.
Yeah.
And Red Eagle says that they can't count on the county or Oklahoma to help them, so they'll need to help themselves. And at this point, who has been invited to the tribal meeting, he offers to donate $1,000 to add to the reward money, but he says that if anyone has any information, come to him first. Because that ain't fucking shady.
Yeah.
But the council vote to send the husband of an Osage woman, we don't learn her name, Barney McBride, to D.C. to meet with the Indian Affairs Committee to request investigators and additional police to look into the murders. And from the way it seems in the movie and what I could see on some of the things that I read, this person actually was truly an ally, yes. Barney McBride.
Yes, he was. There was a few. There was a few in this story, so.
And while planning Anna's funeral, Ernest and Molly, they meet with her sister, Rita, and her husband, Minnie's widower, Bill. They have now married. While they're in the funeral parlor, Ernest asks the undertaker to leave Anna's jewels with her as a personal favor.
Yeah. Yeah, I did actually, when I first saw that, I thought he was being nice till later, and I'm like, oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. I thought he was actually like, nah, just leave her.
Right.
You know, no.
And he gives Ernest the bill, and, you know, he gets angry, and he's accusing him of charging him, quote, Osage prices. Because the total is $1,650 when a funeral for a white community member was a total of $300. And the undertaker, he justifies this by saying that the Osage people didn't work for the money anyways.
Right.
So like I said, that is a reoccurring sentiment to justify why they feel entitled to the money instead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We see a lawyer who is explaining to Anna that the estate, as Birdy said, it's roughly $100,000. And he immediately suggests that Molly should pay for a celebration for the whole town.
Which, like, wow.
Yeah.
The
like,
audacity.
Same breath.
The audacity, like, is incredible.
Yeah, didn't even stop to, like, no pause, just led right into it.
Yeah. Like, wow.
Yeah. And we see Barney McBride, the gentleman that they have sent to D.C., he is at his hotel and he receives a telegram warning him to be careful, but when he steps out of his hotel, he is abducted and beaten. And we learn later that he was murdered, and this is to stop him from trying to get help.
Yes.
Molly and Ernest meet with a PI that Molly has hired, Bill Burns, and he lets them know that Bill Smith is running his own investigation, and he's planning to share his information once he has all the facts.
Yeah.
And this is an investigation into Anna's death.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, and just for reference, this Burns guy, I think there was a Burns guy, but he is an amalgamation of several PIs that had been hired in this time.
Gotcha,
so.
Okay. Burns also tells Molly that Anna was pregnant at the time of her death, and she had shared this information with a driver named Ramsey, who is a moonshine runner, and seems like he does some other kind of petty crime work. You find out later he's got a large family, so he's doing some, like, really...
shady stuff to keep money on the table.
Yeah.
He does seem in deep poverty. Not that that's an excuse, but he does seem like he's in deep poverty.
Right, and he's absolutely a racist.
Yeah, absolutely. No excuse, but...
No.
Yeah.
He's willing to do some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So after this meeting with the PI, Ernest rushes to tell Hal all of the information that he's found, or all the information he has learned, and Hal asks him, was there any talk of either him or Byron being the father of Anna's baby? And Ernest sees, no, like, he just kind of, he looks baffled.
Yeah.
And he tells them to make sure their names are kept out of it, which I don't know how the hell he's supposed to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, like, how that was supposed to be. They're all in the same family.
Right.
Like, of course, they're going to come up. Although, just for reference, I didn't really see too much that, like, there was some rumor she was pregnant, but, like, nothing.
It wasn't certain.
Yeah, it wasn't, like, I didn't see anything to confirm that she was pregnant, so.
Gotcha.
Not too much, anyway, so.
But that clarified for me, which I didn't even think about it the first watch. I realized it on the second watch. That clarified for me the, you'll do right when she was talking to Byron. Hal tells Ernest that Bill Smith, Minnie's widow and Rita's current husband, he's becoming a problem. He's investigating, he's looking into shit. He's becoming a problem. And he wants him out of the way, so he leaves this up to Ernest to figure out what to do. And Ernest goes to see a friend of his, Blackie Thompson, who has been robbing graves. And as Birdy said, it was for personal enrichment that he asked the Undertaker to leave the grave or leave the jewels. And yeah, Blackie has stolen the jewels that Anna was buried with.
Yeah, and of course, they don't make it clear. But of course, he's probably recognizing that jewelry.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah.
Well, and I have no idea, but I assumed he told him
probably
that she would be buried with it.
Yeah.
So.
So.
But Ernest tells him that if he is willing to kill Bill and Rita, he can make it look like a robbery, and Hal will pay him $1,000. Plus, he can keep whatever money and jewelry he finds. And Blackie's not interested. At first, he doesn't want to do this. So Ernest offers him a side deal just between them that Blackie can steal and keep Ernest's car, and Ernest is just going to collect the insurance on it, and Blackie agrees. And this is one of those, like, no, he really was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You're gonna, in the 1920s, when not everybody has cars, and you're gonna drive around town in a very notably stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
Fucking dumb people.
Also dumb on Ernest because he's supposed to be keeping this quiet and everything, and not to give Hale any credit. I get why Hale was very angry.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's like, well, like they say on My Favorite Murder, when the people do stupid shit and get caught. Stay stupid.
Yeah, stay stupid, Ernest.
And meanwhile, the night that Blackie is stealing the car, we do see that Molly, she's getting worse, and this is due to her diabetes. I don't think they're actively killing her at this point. I think
I think it is her diabetes. Yeah.
And Hal, the benevolent protector, he arranges for her to get access to a new medication, insulin. And at this time, it's so new, it's still kind of in an experimental stage, I got, is how it seemed.
There were so many little things I could have done a deep dive history on, and this was one of them, was the history of insulin, but very neat. This is probably true, like, insulin was probably very new at this time, because I know it's still huge, so,
And it's, hard to get, and it was expensive, and they say a couple times that Molly is one of only 5 people in the world to have access to it. And Blackie, having stolen the car and just joyriding around in it like a dumbass, he gets busted because of course he does.
Yeah.
But instead of telling the police it was part of an insurance scam, he just takes the charge and he goes to prison. And somehow Hal finds the truth of this, that it was a scam. I don't know how, but he figures it out that this was a scam set up by Ernest with Blackie. And now, because of this side deal, Blackie is in prison, and they have to find another person willing to kill Bill and Rita. And as a weird punishment, he takes Ernest to the Masonic temple. Yeah, this was weird. I have no idea if this was like a thing. I know Hale was part of the Masonic Freemasons, but it was just weird. This was weird. I don't think this. I think this was overdrawn. I think this was a drama moment for sure. Yeah, and he basically makes him like bend over a table or something and beats him with a paddle, and like a child. And did you see the paddle break? Yes. And I guess that was not intended. Like, thankfully, he was wearing padding, but fucking
that's
De
why his ass
Niro
looks
just
so big.
right.
Sorry.
De Niro just like fucking whah.
Damn. Sorry, Leon.
Right. Like I can imagine that it was still uncomfortable even with padding.
Yeah.
But so he beats him and, you know, kind of a homoerotic whatever.
Yeah, right. However you want to put that. Oh my god.
And he starts chastising him for not being in control of Molly, allowing her to hire a PI and trying to...
This is some serious misogyny right here. This isn't even race related. This is misogyny right here.
He tells him that the deaths are going to continue regardless, and he needs to ensure that he inherits the head rights and keep Molly from investigating.
And I think he also starts planting in Ernest's head at this point. I think by this point he's probably mentioned it a couple times where, like, Molly is sickly now, you know, she's not going to be around too long. I think he made the comment about, you know, most Osage women don't make it past 50. Yeah. And, like, he's already planting, like, she's just going to die. Don't worry about it. Like, not even saying they'll kill her, just she's going to die. Don't stay attached or something. Like, it's
like, don't try to do anything about it.
Yeah, something like that. So I'll add in a couple of things here. I think that came up. We do see, I think, at this point, we've seen people sitting in a movie theater, probably a talkie, or was there actual sound, or was it silent?
I think it was silent.
Okay, so silent movie, and it used to be in the old days, way back when they'd do newsreels before movies. I think a lot of people know that, but just in case, like, so that's why you see this newsreel of the Tulsa Race Massacre, which this was happening at the same time. Yeah. Like, I mean, that was a multi-day event. This is a multi-year event, but whatever. It's the same time against two different minority peoples that were trying, like, the parallels are kind of insane.
Yeah.
But it was
prospering
and in the same state.
Yeah.
Not far from each other.
They were prospering, and that just could not be.
Yeah, so the Tulsa Race Massacre was a 2-day-long white supremacist terrorist massacre. Thank you for putting it that way, Wiki. That took place in the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I will point out for geography folks is within that same northern Oklahoma area where Osage County is. Okay. I don't know if it's in Osage County, but it's definitely in that northern area of Oklahoma. So it happened between May 31st and June 1st, 1921, where mobs of white residents, some of whom have been appointed as deputies and armed by city government officials, attacked black residents and destroyed their homes and businesses. The event is considered one of the worst incidents of racial violence in American history. The attackers burned and destroyed more than 35 square blocks of the neighborhood at the time. And at the time was one of the wealthiest black communities in the United States, colloquially known as Black Wall Street. By and during this time, 18 Osage and 3 non-Osage people in Osage County were already reported murdered within that short period of time. Colorado newspapers even reported the murders as the Reign of Terror. So all during that time, they see this video clip. So, you know, some people within the community, they're already like worried that they're suffering or will suffer similarly. So it's like it's actually already happened. So during this time, too, we were also seeing the death of Joe Greyhorse, another Osage who died somehow immediately after a land deal with Hale and was found near Pawhuska. Oh, and that lady that we saw earlier, she actually died the following year. Anna Sanford, that Brick mentioned, she died. It was almost immediately after marrying Tom McCoy. And that man, supposedly Anna Sanford's husband, went on to marry Hale's niece. So probably also connected in there.
While all of this is going on, we do see that Bill Burns, the PI that Molly hired, he is attacked and murdered by, I believe it's supposed to have been Ernest and Byron. And we learn later his body must have been hidden because Molly just knows that he's gone, and Hal sells it as like, well, he just took your money and ran.
Mm-hmm. I have more on that later. I have more on like the PIs and stuff and the weird actual like conspiracy deaths that have happened around trying to investigate the murders. I do have a whole bit on that, so stay tuned.
So Hal, meanwhile, still wanting Bill and Rita killed, he and Ernest go to a local moonshine brewer who refers them to a man named A.C. Kirby who works with explosives. Ramsey, the driver who knew Anna, is the one who's tasked to track him down because apparently he's in hiding, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little interesting.
And meanwhile, Molly, she continues to be very sick, and this is in spite of the insulin. She now refuses to allow the Schoen brothers, the doctors, to administer the shots. And she tries to tell Ernest, it's not working, but he argues, saying maybe it needs to get worse before it gets better. Think of the children. Oh, so you think you know better than the doctors. And
yeah, he really gaslights her, manipulates her.
He insults her
race,
heritage, and he even tries guilting her by reminding her that, Hal's the one that arranged this for you. He went through all this trouble specifically to help you. And she finally agrees to continue the treatment, but only if Ernest is the one to administer the shots.
Yeah.
And in the next scene, we see Henry Roan again. He is with Hal in office with the Schoen brothers. He's having a physical done. And this is to qualify him for a life insurance policy that would be payable to Hal. And when their doctors are asking Henry about his general health, this is so horrible. When asking about his general health, he tells the doctor that he suffers from depression, which at that time they referred to as melancholy. And they recommend that you just drink whiskey.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, just drink some whiskey. That'll help you. Mm-hmm. Like, wow. Well, but sadly, that also was like a thing.
Yeah.
So
you got all them housewives just.
Sorry, that's a whole other conversation, but yes, it's hilarious today.
When Hal mentions, this exam is just for the policy, and one of the brothers asks him, are you trying to kill this Indian? And Hal, he's joking, well, how'd you know? And this poor man, Henry, he's just sitting there silent, awkward, And all three of them are laughing. One makes a gun shooting gesture at him, and the other one tells him he better watch out. And they're all still laughing.
Yeah, that was
rough.
Ooh, that was a lot.
Yeah. So as they're leaving the doctor's office, Henry tries talking to Hal again about his depression and tells him, his wife is having an affair. He's depressed, he's ashamed, and he's suicidal. And he asks Hal for money to buy moonshine because his guardian won't give it to him. And he tells Hal that if he can't buy moonshine, then he wants a gun. Hal refuses and basically tells him to just be stronger and don't do anything stupid.
Oh my God, yeah.
But Henry ends up getting intoxicated later. I think it's later that day, but he ends up getting intoxicated, and he goes and he beats the shit out of Roy, the man that's sleeping with his wife. And then he goes into the bank demanding access to his money. Hal has been called, and he and Ernest show up to take Henry home. And Ernest asks Hal why he bothers with Henry. And at first he responds that, this man is my neighbor and my best friend. Oh, I also got a $250,000 life insurance policy on him because he's been borrowing money from me to get around his guardian, not giving him funds. And, if he attempts suicide, which he has done in the past, if he kills himself before the end of the year, I don't get anything.
Yeah.
So I got to keep him alive a few more months so that I get the payout.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So.
And he also drops a little bug in Ernest's ear, telling him how Henry and Molly had actually been married, as Birdy covered earlier. They had been married at age 15 as part of a traditional marriage. And again, as she covered, it seems to just kind of been ignored and brushed aside, and there's no official divorce. It's just kind of treated as if it never happened.
Yeah.
But now we see that Lizzie, Molly, and Rita, the two surviving sisters, their mother, Lizzie, is dying, and they are all gathered around her, and Molly's brushing her hair. And they're all outside kind of under this canopy.
I think it might be a traditional tent.
Okay.
Osage, probably a tent or hall kind of thing.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell.
And I love the way that they did her passing.
Oh, me too.
So,
I had notes on that too. Yeah.
And you see her in the chair. She's surrounded by her family. She closes her eyes, and when she opens her eyes, it's just her. Her family members are gone, but she looks up and she sees 3 Osage elders, I imagine.
Probably
I believe,
her ancestors, yeah.
I took it as, my assumption was that it was her husband and her parents.
I think so, or at least her husband and probably, at least, if not ancestors, grandparents or something.
Somebody.
Yeah. I thought one might be her husband as well. It was so beautiful. Like, I loved that. I loved a little symbolic gestures that alluded to actual Osage spiritual practices and beliefs. And I'm not going to try and explain as a white person what any of it meant, but I do feel confident in noting that their ancestors are like everything to them. And it was just done really beautifully with the owl and the storm, sitting silent during the storm. And there's some other moments too where it's just like, this is perfect. So yeah.
And it's just a beautiful scene. She gets up, she takes the man's hand, and they walk away, and she's passed on.
Yeah, and this was only 60 days. In reality, this was only like 60 days after Anna's murder, and Lizzie died in that July that year. And which also there are suspicions that she was also poisoned. It's not made clear. I think in the movie they made it just seem like she just got old, but there is speculation that she was poisoned as well. So when she died, she had a $250,000 estate by that point. You see all the money accumulating, $6 million in today's money. And as
Birdy said, they do show us some traditional ceremonies, which, again, like just as she said, I'm not going to try to explain, what the meanings behind them are, but we do see her funeral service and a private ceremony with Molly and her daughter.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful, too.
Yeah.
Had her walk across, I think it's some meaning of them walking across the casket, the young child. So.
And later at dinner with Hal, Molly mentions that the KKK is in town and they're trying to investigate Anna's death. Which,
what? Yeah. I missed that part.
Yeah.
I know they were in the parade at some point.
Yeah, but which that fucking threw me off too. But like, oh, well, no, that was the 20s. That was unfortunately acceptable then and now. But I had to rewind it because I was like, the KKK is investigating what? And they didn't explain. I didn't see anything about that in the history, but I missed that, but I did see them in the parade. The parade later. Yeah. Oh, hey, dudes! Like, yeah, Jesus fucking Christ, fucking crazy. And you never find out why they're investigating. Yeah. It's just kind of like a throwaway line.
Yeah. So I cannot speak to the validity of that as well. But I could see, the only reason I could see them doing that is that if a couple of the men were also trying to marry Osage women just for their money as well, and they were feeling out the competition.
Maybe.
Because I think that was like kind of like a subplot between Bill Smith and the Hales, because Bill and Ernest have that little tit for tat about speaking but not speaking reality, but
the only moment where Ernest sounds at all intelligent.
Yeah, the only moment where he sounds intelligent is when he's angry at other men for trying to dig in on his money. So right. I think these are literally insidious white men factions playing off the law to get the other one out of the running.
Yeah. Well, at Minnie's funeral, when Ernest is sitting there and Bill just walks up and like, I think you should go outside.
Yeah, that kind of like confused me a little bit.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about.
I don't know what that was about.
I think you should go outside, just the way things are going. I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to mean. Ernest didn't either.
Yeah, that was a little weird. There was a lot of double talking in this movie, so it was, you had to really listen.
A whole bunch of white guys trying to kill all the same people and working against each other.
Yeah!
So Molly, she brings that up, and she also mentions they've learned that McBride has been murdered in D.C. Yeah. And as far as she is aware, the PI has just up and disappeared. And this is when Hal accuses him of just taking off with her money. And Hal kind of makes a comment to Ernest that, we need to be more careful of Molly's money. We need to be more careful of how we're spending her money.
Yeah, like, didn't he bring that up? Like, I think by now she's pregnant again. And,
yep, they announced it at dinner.
He's like, oh, you're spreading those head rights, or something.
Well,
he's racist. Like, there's a few reasons he's not happy. That,
and he says, are you loving your wife? Is
like he shouldn't be.
Right. And I'll admit, for like a moment, I was like, well, why is he concerned that she's going to die because of the diabetes and being pregnant? Like, this is what they want. And then I realized, because Rita's still alive.
Yeah.
So
if Molly dies,
Rita gets the head rights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Also some racism, like you're having another mixed child. Yeah. I think that was a little bit in there too. So,
but yeah, he wants to ensure that they get Rita's head rights first, and then we can do away with Molly.
Yeah, he has a plan. God. Anyway,
and Henry Roan, he arrives to speak to Hal, and Ernest asks him if he has any claim to Molly's money, considering the previous marriage. And he doesn't answer him. He just stares at him. And it's very much a heavy silence. He's putting that idea in his head.
Yeah, I think at most he says, I hadn't much thought about it or something. Like.
And I have in my notes, quick aside, we see a parade and the fucking KKK are marching in the parade.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it. And they're like banners and hoods and everything, smiling and waving at children. Like,
they were quite big in Oklahoma.
God.
They were quite big and are still there, mind you. I mean, they're here, too.
Yeah.
But, anyway, yeah.
So we have passed the end of the year. Hal is ready to move on to the next step in the insurance claim. And he has Ernest go to Ramsey, the driver, and offer him a job to kill Henry and make it look like suicide. And Ernest mentions he knows Ramsey has a large family and needs some money. And Ramsey, he's still... even needing the money, at first he refuses until he learns it's an Osage man, and then he's all in.
Yeah, then he's all for it. Mm-hmm.
And Ernest even buys Ramsey a car and introduces him to Henry. Ramsey offers to sell Henry moonshine, and they meet up on this back road to hang out and drink. And this son of a bitch, he kind of claims that they kind of became friends. And he still...
Let's make it 10 times worse.
Yeah, he still carries out the assignment and kills him. However, instead of making it look like a suicide, he shoots him in the back of the head and takes the gun when he leaves.
Yeah.
Stay stupid.
Yeah.
When Ernest tells Molly, she immediately asks if it was self-inflicted because she knows about his depression and his previous attempts. She then asks if it was murder, but Ernest pretends not to know.
Yeah, it seems like at first she's kind of like, yeah, it was probably suicide and da-da-da. And then she's also, but then it kind of like strikes her, or maybe it's the way Ernest said something. She's like, but was it murder?
Yeah.
But was it? And then they kind of do this little back and forth, and you can see Ernest getting more and more nervous, and she's more and more like, but then they drop it. So, yeah. So a little bit about what happened with Henry Rowan here. So actually, and Brick, probably for the fun facts or later when we talk about the movie itself and the making of it, I think a couple of Henry Rowan's descendants were involved in this movie as well.
Oh, I missed that.
So I think I got a little bit that I can add later on. But yeah, I think they were also involved a bit in this movie. So,
nice.
And also, Henry Rowan was also another cousin of Molly's. So I think a lot of them are related. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
There's only like 2,000 families left, you know?
Yeah.
So on January 15th, 1923, he was found dead 4 miles northwest of Fairfax, shot in the head inside his car. It's true, Hale held a $25,000 life insurance policy, over $500,000 in 2023's money. Hale referred to Rowan as a good friend and served as a pallbearer at his funeral.
That son of a... Wow.
Yeah. There is some conflicting resources that also said it was February 6th when he was found, but either way, it was the early beginning of the year. Supposedly, it was around $1,200 that Rowan owed Hale. Both the sheriff and the judges are in Hale's pocket at that point, so there really wasn't much of an investigation, even though it was an obvious murder. I think this is probably a good spot for us to end the current episode. We're going to start moving into probably the other half of the film, or the second half of the middle of the film or something. Yeah. This is a long movie, guys, but it's so good, and we hope you're enjoying this. Again, we'll all our sources will be in the show notes, and we will name them at the end of the final episode of this movie. And yeah, so next time, stay tuned for part 2 on Killers of the Flower Moon. And thank you for listening to Celluloid Chronicles, a historical movie podcast. Please like and subscribe to us wherever you listen, and we hope you join us again soon.
And always remember,
live like you're making history.